What's up, y'all? TheNaturegirl30 here, and I know that I am 2 weeks late when it comes to this review, but I wanted to make sure that my feelings were consistent when it comes to this review. Plus, I'm not gonna lie, I've been tired for the past few weeks, so yeah, I haven't really been churning them out. But anyway, this was probably one of the weakest SummerSlam matches during the Triple H regime. So do I think it actually deserves to have a star rating for each one? No, but I guess I need to be consistent all the way through. I gave a star rating for the last pay-per-view. I might as well be consistent all the way through. So let's get started with Logan Paul versus Ricochet. I didn't care for this match at all. A lot of people liked it because they liked that collision they had in midair. Okay. But instead of it being flippy, beyond flippy, and fast-paced throughout, it slowed down real quick. And I think it's because Logan Paul had to fly out to see his brother after the match. So, of course, he's not going to really have himself beat up too bad. But did I expect the outcome? Yeah, pretty much. Ricochet is always going to be the dog to get put down just to make sure somebody else gets over. That's just kind of how it is with Ricochet these days, so I'm not really all that surprised. So, this match definitely gets a 2-star, 2 out of 5 stars. I didn't really care much for it, let alone it didn't really go anywhere, at least in my humble opinion. Now, moving on to Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. The one thing that really makes me happy about this match is that this feud is over. It is done. It is in the hole, buried, and finished. That's what makes me happy about this. Cody Rhodes versus Brock lasted too long. This feud lasted too long. It needed to end, and I'm happy that it did. What Brock did made everybody feel that this is over, and it's over for Brock. So, I am happy for that. Was this match bad? No, it wasn't. It really wasn't at all. But I can say one thing about Cody. I am not a big fan of Cody Rhodes, but Cody Rhodes knows how to tell a story in the ring. That's the one thing I can say about this guy. And I think Brock had enough respect for him to put him over. It went well. I gotta give it a 3. 3 out of 5. Alright. Moving on to the Slim Jim Battle Royal. Now, I know a lot of people complain about product placement being all over this thing, but let's be honest, WWE is a business nonetheless. They have to have product in order to make money. Am I upset about this being the Slim Jim SummerSlam Battle Royal? No, I'm not. But this match was pretty much geared for LA Knight to win. And I like LA Knight. Yeah, LA Knight comes off as a knockoff of Stone Cold Steve Austin. But to be honest with you, I don't mind him. I honestly like LA Knight. He's fun. This match was tailor-made for him to win. And it's kind of hard to give this a rating because it's a battle royal and it's just really nothing behind it. But I guess I'm just going to kind of skip it this time and not really give it a star rating. But, well, nah. Well, yeah, I'm just going to skip it because I'm not going to really give it so much of a star rating. But I will say this is geared for LA Knight to win. And I'm glad that he did. So I'm going to move on from there. Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler. Okay, this match was bad. This was probably one of the worst matches on the card because let's be honest, not every wrestling fan is an MMA fan. And the sad part is they couldn't even fight like they were in the octagon. They were literally held back from having to do what they've been trained to do for so many years. And I think that's what hurt the match. Not only that, Shayna's heel turn came out of nowhere. So it really didn't make people feel like they had to care about her and about her beating Ronda Rousey. So this match was a dud all throughout. 1 out of 5 straight up. This was one of the worst matches on the card. Now moving on to one of my most anticipated and favorite matches on the card was the IC Championship match with Gunther versus Drew McIntyre. This was like 2 big horses going at it. Like seriously. He made the IC Championship worth something again. He made it to where everybody wants it. That's why I love Gunther. He doesn't need any help. He's definitely an in-ring general for a reason. He definitely took it to Drew, and Drew took it back to him. This was like 2 big behemoths going at it. I love big hoss matches. I absolutely love it. And honestly, I'm really proud of what Gunther has done to the IC Championship. If he loses the title to a credible opponent, I wouldn't have mind. Not at all. If he would have lost it to Drew, I wouldn't have mind. I'm still rooting for Ilya Dragunov, but that's just me. But if Drew took it here, I would have been okay. I would just be concerned on how WWE would book him. But to be honest with you, Drew is a worthy holder of the IC belt. But this match was amazing. I like it. It's one of my favorite matches of the night. I'm definitely, by all means, going to give this a 4 out of 5. Why isn't it a 5 out of 5? Mainly because there's one thing left out. And it's good, and I'm going to talk about a little bit more in the next match. It didn't really tell much of a story, but it did give a lot of worth to the IC title. It just didn't tell much of a story in the ring, but it just made the IC belt seem like a worthy prize. So that's why I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. But everything that ticked off every box for me was definitely the World Heavyweight Championship match with Seth freaking Rollins versus Finn Balor. This match told every story well. Everything that was told that should have been told earlier was told very well in this match. It was told well in the ring, and it was told well when it was told well during the whole feud. Yeah, like I said many times before, the fans kind of knocked the wind out of its sails in the very beginning, but it told a lot of story when it comes to Judgment Day. This was a well put together match. Honestly, one of my favorites of the night. It really, really was. I gotta give it a 5 out of 5. And I know a lot of people are like, what? Well, I'm just going to say it's just because it told a good story in the ring. The feud was actually really consistent all the way through. It told an amazing story when it came to the Judgment Day and what could happen to Finn if he did win. And how Seth Rollins used the Money in the Bank briefcase to win was incredibly clever. This was definitely a 5 out of 5 match. And this was definitely one of my favorite matches of the night. Probably the match of the night. Alright, I'm going to move on to the match that went on for way too long. And that is Bianca Belair versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair for the Women's Championship. This dragged. I kept falling asleep. It was so hard for me to stay awake. Good grief. So hard for me to stay awake. Because this was just long. It wasn't horrible by no means. I mean, everybody in the ring knew their stuff. The build was done pretty well. It just dragged. The only saving grace of this entire match was the fact that EO cashed in. That was the only saving grace. This match was just long. To the point where I was just really, really tired. It went on for way too long. And I think that was the only flaw of this match. Everything, the match itself wasn't all that bad. It's just, it should have ended a lot quicker than it did. But then I'm going to go into one of the longest matches of the night, which made it incredibly hard to stay awake. And that was the Undisputed Championship with Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso in Tribal Combat, which in my opinion, it was a joke. Calling it Tribal Combat, I understand why Rikishi wants nothing to do with this. Because you think that having the whole Samoan heritage inserted into this will make it worth something? Where were the rest of the Samoans? Seriously. Where were the Wild Samoans? They're still alive. How come they weren't out there? Where was Rikishi? None of this felt tribal. All of this just felt like a regular match. The only difference was that this was supposed to be no DQ. I mean, not no DQ. It was supposed to be having no interference in the match. It was between both Roman and Jey. Why was Solo even there? Why was Paul even there? How come they weren't sent to the back? But strangely enough, they were interfering in the match a lot. And that's what really, really harmed it for me. Besides the fact that it went on too doggone long. Good grief, the entrance just felt like forever. And this was supposed to be the main event. The actual match you cared about. I cared very little. I wanted this to be over. Because the Bloodline storyline is dead. It died at WrestleMania, y'all. Say what you ever want. Say what you want to say. It died at WrestleMania. And it should have stayed gone. It should have gave the belts to Cody. Even if everybody disagreed, it should have gave the belts to Cody. This dragged. And then you had the weirdest heel turn I've ever seen in my entire life. And I know by this time we found out why Jey did it. And even Irvin called this out. Because he even believed that Jey Uso was going to go that route. That he was going to say, I did it for you, brother. At the end of the day, it was still dumb because you had both the brothers already defeat Roman and Solo. So why would this even happen here? It makes no sense whatsoever. And then you had that explanation later on SmackDown that was even dumber. This match needs to die. This feud needs to die. Everything in relation to the bloodline needs to end now. Because they've already beaten that dead horse to where is nothing left. There is nothing left to do at all in this entire story. I'm sorry, but good Lord, was the entrance too long? Was the match too long? I didn't even care anymore. The fact that Solo Sikoa was involved when they weren't supposed to even be there, both him and Paul Heyman, it was stupid. I'm sorry, man. This gets a 1. And I know people are like, what? It's Bloodline. No, this gets a 1. Number 1, the entrance was way too long. Number 2, you actually made the rules for this thing and broke them. Solo wasn't even supposed to be there. It's supposed to be one-on-one. It's like they made rules only to break them. And then the fact you call Samoan Combat and you don't even have the elders of the tribe there. You don't even have the Wild Samoans. And I know the Wild Samoans in their 80s, but they can still move. And you don't even have Rikishi there. You got no representation of the Samoan tribes there. It don't even feel like tribal combat. They just call it that because they all Samoan. That's just dumb to me. Something you see straight up out of the 80s. Definitely gets a 1. Overall, this pay-per-view was by far one of the weakest pay-per-views in the Triple H regime. And I'm really shocked, because you would think that Triple H would know better than this. But good grief. This is a Big Four pay-per-view, and it's by far one of the weakest on the entire card. I mean, in the history of WWE, it's probably one of the weakest SummerSlams that was ever in his hands. But if I have to give it all a star rating, I gotta give it a 3. Why? Because number 1, you had a really good match that told a great story with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. Then you had an excellent IC Championship match that actually brought some worth to the IC Championship, and I'm highly proud of Gunther for that. Then, of course, you had the Battle Royal. As corny as people say it was geared very well for LA Knight to win. And it was fun. It was actually fun to watch. You can have fun watching wrestling every once in a while. Those are the only matches that were worth their salt. So if you ever go back and watch it, those 3 matches right there. Everything else was either subpar, mediocre, or just crap. So yeah, those are the 3 matches I suggest that you go and watch if you really want to see this thing. Everything else you can just skip. But anyway, y'all, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Leave your thoughts in the comments below about SummerSlam. What you think was right, what you think was wrong. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. If you guys like my reviews and like what I have to say about wrestling, by all means subscribe to my channel, like this video, as well as share it to your friends. But I really do want to hear what you guys' thoughts are on this for those that actually did watch SummerSlam 2023. But y'all, I am done here. I got nothing to say about this subpar pay-per-view. This is TheNatureGirl30 signing off. Peace out, y'all. See you later.